magical ADC. We have seen Oleron. That was the only magical ADC so far this tournament. I was shocked by it. Won some, lost some. Soul, a little bit different, but look at the build. I mean, Death's Toll into what I can only assume is Telekines for Barra. Barracuda has gone on to say in an interview that sometimes he feels like with this team, the Highland Ravens, they might have too many cooks in the kitchen. That's his exact words. In this team comp seems to be...
It's cooking.
It seems to be the product of too many cooks in the kitchen. Not to say it can't work. Assassins have immense pressure early, so a snowball could be forming this very moment and rolling down a mountain to topple the Elder Towns. But with traditional Smite knowledge at our hand, it's not going to be easy.
You know, there's a saying, Trelly, now we're cooking with gasoline.
Yep.
You know, when this is cooking with like jet fuel. I feel like if it's going to pop off, it's going to be explosive. It's going to be flashy.
I'd call it damp wood. Cooking with damp wood.
No, those are two very different things,
yeah.
Trelly.
I could see that you were going with, it's going to pop off real hard.
Yeah, I was trying to be positive and look up as Stream takes half his HP in the middle lane there. We're going to hurry win, falling down the left-hand lane, I should say. Barracuda and Hurry having to back off there. Quig and Vaporish Coast looking a bit unhealthy as well. But I think jet fuel is a little bit more preferable to damp wood, Trelly. It's going to be large. It's going to be explosive. Lots of damage coming out of Assassins.
Speaking of large and lots of damage, here comes Oath. Unfortunately, This gank gets called out because Scream fought him the whole way here. So they will not get caught out of the shield buff, and they will be able to retreat for free. But still, with Scream showing up, the Highland Ravens surge forward. They are not alone. They will just march up as a squad of 3 trying to grab this shield buff.
Okay, so now that we're at 2 minutes, we can actually start talking about Smite here for a little bit.
All right.
Obviously, 3 assassin composition, a little bit more traditional coming out of the Eldritch Hounds. I mean, the highlight of game number 1, in a weird way, was the complete silence from the Highland Ravens, right? The inability to step forward, not really contesting any objectives, just real quiet on the Highland Ravens front. 3 assassins, I mean, gonna have to get active here.
That's a good
game
point.
Number 2.
That's a good point. If we're calling, the lack of fighting the highlight of game 1, which I certainly would not, but because you are right, that is what we saw. This is the polar opposite. This is, hey, we just want to ult, we want to get in there, we want to scrap, and that is definitely a step up for me because the Highland Ravens have been looking like one of the most mechanically gifted teams in the SPL throughout this whole first phase, right? I mean, they finished second place because of that. I expected them to have some new strats here for this new patch, of course, but also just be able to mechanics diff more often than not. So if you're going to pick 3 assassins to do so, I'm excited to see how it goes through. But notably, the start that some of these assassins have gone for, in particular Ven, once again the Bumbas, once again not a stacking item in the Warlocks, but with the Soul Eater, tells me he's not trying to fight, right? He wants to get this Soul Eater online. He wants to stack it up as quickly as possible. And if you're going to be doing that, you're probably not looking for 1v1s versus an AMC anytime soon.
Speaking of the ANC, what a perfect segue that was, Charlie. It's like you could read my mind here. Set it on the desk, kind of maybe an alternative to the Marty when that one's banned away.
Right.
Amuz and Cobb, a little bit of mobile, got good damage, great shred. The up down from Ducky just to force Haddox out of lane here. Talk me through Venenu on the B.
He just likes this pick a lot. I know that, he's been called the secondary to Marty because he does have that extra pen built into the kit. You can still go double Hunter, and of course, Oath always likes to go towards this Alquang. But AMC just has tremendous clear. Once he gets that Transcendence online, he essentially full clears with his Honey and his Swarm, and he's able to zoom across the map with those Hives pretty consistently. Still has tremendous burst, and it's pretty easy to ignore how hard it is to get close to an AMC. But with 3 assassins, I'm thinking the Highland Ravens might have an easy way to do it. They could just close the gap with Anvil of Dawn from Haddox, or of course Scream can just hit that sash. There are plenty of ways to try and pull the beads here off of Venenu.
Now we've chit-chatted about how important it is. Speaking of importance, Venenu, those beads came in handy there. Pretty important for the middle lane B. Gets out of the grasp of Scream. Scream using those Windfire wheels aggressively and immune away from Venenu there. Those going to be down for quite a little bit here. We've talked about the Highland Ravens, talked about their high execution comp, second one they've drafted in a row. Much more traditional here from the Eldritch Hounds. I mean, essentially pretty much seeing the same playstyle as game 1 as Oath has made the rotation in. Hurwin, execute range. A clutch ultimate there for the CC immunity. Barracuda backs off as well. Safety over here in the dual lane for the Ravens.
I love that play, though. I mean, the silence is saying, hey, if you don't have beads, we're going to execute you before you even have a chance to go into the death spin. But HOUNDS, unfortunately, was not able to get into the watery grave. The execute threshold comes through, finally gets the click off, and Oath does not get the first blood, which means that just going to trade ult for ult. And that's going to be just fine here for the Highland Ravens. They are happy for that trade because the alternative, of course, is you lose your only tank on the squad, your only traditional tank, I should say, for first blood there. But it seems like the Highland Ravens have been getting the better end of this duo lane. Sol and Kuzumbo have good pressure here. And actually, it's Ducky versus 3 currently, and here's Ven as well.
Oh, the Highland Ravens would love to find a first blood here, especially committing Venenu to this aggression on the Kleena. It's just a confirmation of the blue buff on the right side in the solo lane. Ao Kuang hovering around the mid lane as well. Kind of a similar-ish style to the Habois, right? You're both magical, both want a couple items online, both looking to blink in, get in the back line, pretty much one tap a carry.
Yeah, but in this case, Oath is not going to go for the 70% pen build. He's going to at least get Eye of the Jungle, so he can't lock himself into that much. I do like the play style, though, from Oath on this Ao Kuang. He usually is looking to just play as defensive as possible until he gets online. Once he does, really can start to get active here. And Ducky and Haddix just, they do no sort of damage to each other, so they just trade back and forth constantly. Ducky, it's the second time he's ulted, one for a totem, second because he was bored. I mean, that teleport has already been used, so it's not like he's going to stick around. He does have to go back to base, but the benefit, of course, was that Haddix also has to go back to base, probably to finish up that Glad Shield as well. He's got 4 abilities to proc it, so might as well go in for that extra ability damage, especially if you're going to build up some more of those tank stats. Makes sense to me, but relatively quiet. Not for a lack of trying, though. This hasn't been a, hey, let's play passively, let's just hide. This has been more of a, no one's stepping up. We haven't had the opportunity to find these clutch fights early on.
And Scream with no blink as well. Grabs that pair of beads to start the game. Wants some safety from Oath's ultimate ability, so no blink windfire wheels, a surprise attack on the middle lane or anything like that. You know, something else that occurs to me here, Trelly, with this triple assassin Barracuda soul composition is the wild objective shred. Speaking of shred, though, Venenu shredding down Oath's health bar to about a quarter there. Pops the ultimate. Charge of that's going to be up sooner rather than later. Spinny Q's made the rotation, chucks out some bees as well. But, I mean, what does the objective shred looks like for this Highland Ravens composition?
That does seem to be their game plan here, is to just shred objectives as quickly as possible. Sol and Ven, 2 of the easiest ways to just do as much tick damage as possible to a Gold Fury and then explode it with a Supernova, something like that, which is what Barracuda can provide. And, of course, 2 charges of Feast the Veil will get the job done. So I'm thinking, yeah, the objectives will go down very quickly here, probably why HOUNDS said, I'll be the only tank, right? I'm just going to show up, I'll tank the objective, we go for it, we back up. Hopefully by, I don't know, 12 minutes or so, we'll be able to build a lead for ourselves so we can go for pulls like that. But they don't have that tremendous burst option besides Supernova, so Barracuda is going to have to be on point. That ult does come out pretty bursty, but it is a bit of a tick damage as well, right? It's a couple ticks immediately, and then they slowly come through. There's still that opportunity to try and go for a steal, notably if Quake has like Dharmic Pillars or something, to try and disrupt the confirmation from the Highland Ravens.
Taking a look at Benny Q here on this Amu's and Cobb. Got the Transcendence nearly stacked up, a couple of power and pen items, and that AMC is really going to be swinging. Are you surprised at all, Trelly, as we're pushing, you know, about a minute and a half away from 10 minutes here, that we haven't seen more abuse on this immobile mid character?
If I had not just watched the first game where Scream didn't fight at all, I would say yes, but because it does seem like passive play has been his MO, no, it doesn't shock me in the slightest. But there's a big rotation coming over here. The outer towns are far up, but look at Scream's health.
Already dropping low to half HP. Vaporous Coast dashing away. The teleport is going to be channeled as well. Ducky has joined the fray, slamming back down his Oath, but guess who else is slamming down? It's Haddix who is here. Ducky with the up down. So many ultimates and no kills. Ducky, tanky. Same thing can be said for Heroin. Quig locking down Scream. Haddix finds Oath in the backline. Coast dashing through and falling to the flames of Barracuda. Venenu puts another on the Highland Ravens tick marker, 3-1 for the Ravens.
All the while, Benny Q decided not to rotate. He just pushed down the mid lane. That AMC damage would have been massive if he got into the fight. But now he might be stuck. Haddix could easily step forward the wall here. And Benny Q's taking tower to try and get the tier 1. That's not worth.
No double tap onto Benny Q, but Haddix with the auto attacks. Benny Q there, sending out the Stinger to lock down the Thor. It's going to leave that Stinger in the middle lane, but at the very least, maintain his life.
Yep, he does lose the Stinger. does not get the tier 1 tower, but loses his beads for his troubles. Venenu, a man of farm, not a man of action, not yet. At least he wanted to back up and get a soul eater, and he does just that. So it looks like all's well that ends well for the Highland Ravens. They defend Barracuda's purple buff, and it's funny. We were sitting in the break room between games, and Bear just walked past sadly and said, Hebo at every purple buff, man, and then just went to the bathroom. This time he said, you guys better rotate to my purple buff. I want to make sure that I don't fall behind. And look at that. 2 levels up. Coast is getting a bit of the treatment now.
So far, the opposite. Game number 1, 10 minutes. Already matching the kill count of what felt like 25 minutes in game number 1 here. Highland Ravens with a bit of a small lead. Could be larger here in a minute. If Quig can be locked down by Hurrywin and Venenu, Oath has made the rotation as well. The Dharmic Pillars to try to peel for the mid laner. Here comes Screen up in the air, slamming down Oath, who's going to find death at the hands of the Najah. It's a 2-for-0 Quig and Oath drop. And 2 more towards the Highland Ravens now really starting to ramp up these assassins.
Yeah, we were talking about how Oath is going to come online real hard late game. This is not late game. He had 2 tier 2 items, which is not a lot of power, of course, and actually went in for the water illusion underneath tower. All the while, Hurrywin had Sumo Slam, was able to push under Quig, so didn't seem like a great fight for the Elder Challenge to try and take. They lose 2 members of their team, of course. The gold and the XP is not going to be the biggest deal. I'd assume it wasn't the biggest waste of time. Just delaying the power spike of when this Ao Kuang gets online, most notably, is a bit of a problem. Because Scream has been just using that Windfire wheel specifically onto Oath, trying to find Ao Kuang. Beads aren't up for another 10 seconds. So maybe, Oath can stand a little bit far forward with those beads back up. But still, he's been taking a big brunt of the pressure here from the Highland Ravens jungler.
Well, importantly, the Highland Ravens, despite having a nice little kill lead to their name. Gold, still really not that built up yet, about 600. XP, sure, it's in the corner, but no objectives taken, no tier 1 towers pushed down off those kills. It's just been kind of kills and then back off, farm up a little bit, but no real tangible outcome from the aggression so far.
Not yet, but Scream is lurking, right? He's always looking for something. NEQ's beats won't be up for 20 seconds, so a decent target there. But the beacon is the target, as well as the tier 1 tower. Haddix rotates over to make sure the beacon goes the way of the Ravens, and the tier 1 on left also drops. It's going to be a Gold Fury attempt real easily. It's because Haddix is here, and Veil of Dawn's available. And here comes the rest of the Hounds, and actually Ducky teleports in.
Oh, Scream uses the ultimate, which is immuned away by Coast and is now in a tough place. Haddix, meanwhile, in the backline of the Eldritch Hound, Scream does fall to Oath. Vaporish Coast gets turned right back around by the solo laner from the Highland Ravens. It's BennyQ and Quig, the recipient of the suns raining down from Barracuda. Ducky takes out the soul. Haddix in a tough place here, hammers away. Now the chase down from the Eldritch Hounds, who could choose to kill Haddix or choose this Gold Fury. They're choosing to do
Hammer
the damage to Thor, slow down, hammer away, and Haddix to safety.
Eldritch Hounds had plenty of damage, though. They still could go for the pull. All the while, Hurrywin sticks around. This Kuzumbo doesn't have Watery Grave, but a nicely bounced Nene might be the only attempt at a steal he has. And he's going to throw it and back off. Ven's here too, but yeah, with Ducky playing zone duty, this should go handedly over to the Eldritch Hounds after a beautiful fight.
Haddix
did step up. I didn't even realize he was able to step forward and kill BennyQ.
And Oath falling to Venenu as well. A 2-for-0. The Highland Ravens, they lose the objective, but a couple more kills going their way. Not on major priority targets there. BennyQ was 0 kills. Oath, tough slash line so far for the jungler.
Yep, but you don't expect the teleport from Thor. That's the big difference maker, right? Usually when Thors are playing solo, they go beads. Maybe they'll get a teleport and beads. Haddix says teleport and sunder. I don't care about CC. I don't care if you use a stinger on me or try to execute. I'm ulting in for my team, and so far, 3-0-3. It's been working out for him. If I'm waiting for this Thor to engage every fight, it seems like a good call. Here for the Highland Ravens, they were able to clean up a lot at the tail end of that Fury. Pyromancer is spawning in here shortly, so I got my eyes on the Ravens. They've got the lead. They should be the first ones over towards that objective. We already mentioned how much Ven can do to something like a Pyromancer if it's unwarded or just left alone with it for a couple seconds. Tag Bear into the mix, and that objective's going to be burning quickly.
We've been seeing it all weekend long, but the solo laner is really playing an impactful role so far here in game number 2 between the Highland Ravens and the Eldritch Hounds. Nice slash line for Ducky, 2-1-1 thus far. As you mentioned, 3-0-3 for Haddix on this Thor. This Thor solo has really been making some waves.
Certainly has. No easy targets unless BennyQ wants to step forward with no relics, but he's about under tier 2
Wow.
at the moment, so only Quig could go in for a steal, but he's too late, so unfortunately not going to have a chance to drop that ultimate. And Harguin picks up the Runic Bomb. Highland Ravens playing with house money. They can just step forward and do whatever they want at the moment, but they still do have a late game competition, the Hounds, that is. They've got this double ADC. They still have Ao Kwong, who is not looking great itemization-wise. I don't think just because they're getting dominated in the early that should be too telling, but a bit of a lane swap here. Ven says, don't worry, I'll handle left. Barra said, you guys need some towers down? I'm your man.
I'm Soul, and they are gone. Tier 1 tower drops in the solo side of the map, and so far, personally, I'm really happy with this switch up from the Highland Ravens. Getting a little more active on the map.
A lot more active on the map.
A lot more, like 100% more active on the map, actually. Being proactive with ganks, taking fights, turning them around. Speaking of fights, Venenu might be the recipient of one here. HOUNDS is in support of the mid laner. Quig is the target, low HP. Vapor's Coast on the horsey just for a little bit of the damage. HOUNDS has to hammer away. Oath with the follow-up. Immediately up in the air goes HOUNDS and slamming back down onto Quig. Silence out of HOUNDS, who has to run away. Scream takes a member of the Eldritch Hounds in the air. It's going to be Quig who's going to fall to the might of Venenu. Hurry went spinning around in the back line, creating the distraction, allowing Scream to escape for just a moment. The CC comes through from the Highland Ravens. Oath with a sliver of HP. HOUNDS does not see Scream up in the air.
Oh my gosh.
Oath eats Scream, puts it out his gullet. Is the smashdown coming from the Ao Kwong? Barracuda takes down Ducky in the meantime. Here is the Oath who gets eviscerated by Venenu. It goes in aggressively, doesn't work out for the jungler. 3-1, the Highland Ravens on top.
All right, Oath, you get one of those, but HOUNDS is still around, hiding around the corner. He wants to find a wall into a double tap, but Coast not going to let it happen. BennyQ is still lurking as well. Good damage, but not great. So HOUNDS decides to back up. That stealth play on to Scream was insane. But what was more insane? Going back down right on top of Ven with that little HP. Oath said, hey, I'm 1-4 at this point. I end up, he was actually 2-3. Doesn't matter. He's like, I'm not worth much. I go in, help my team. Maybe it works out. Doesn't, but hey, makes for a cool play. Ven's 4-0. The shutdown would have been nice, but does not come through. So now the Highland Ravens get to continue their aggression. The Oni Fury spawning in here shortly. You know they want to get some vision down, so Coast immediately grabs that shield buff and tries to get out. Walks over a ward, though, so the Highland Ravens know exactly where he is. And Ven, he's anywhere but mid lane. I mean, he's not going to stay around in mid anymore. He does not care for it. And it's actually Scream who's covering duo. Lane swaps in every lane at this point.
This composition does not call for traditional laning, that is for sure. And so far it's been working out. You called out Venenu, 4-0-6. Another assassin on the board, 3-0-5. Composition so far working for the Highland Ravens, but we're pushing 20 minutes now. The Eldritch Hounds definitely able to scale up. Do you see the Highland Ravens continuing to pressure on, or the Eldritch Hounds, as they scale, being able to take the fight back to them?
Seems like the Highland Ravens are already grouped up towards the Oni Fury. They want to fight, right? They want to step forward. They said, hey, we've got the beads timer on Oath. That's not going to be up for 56 more seconds. That's a great target for an Anvil of Dawn, or just some great CC from pretty much anyone on the Ravens so far. This beacon is also spawning in, and the Ravens are the first ones to step forward. Beautiful stun.
Eyes on Scream, sneaking around the backline here, but Ducky turns it right back around with a Mystic Rush over the top. Hurry when trying to create some space in the backline. HOUNDS doesn't need it, though, slamming down from the skies as Thor. The Dharmic Pillars doesn't get any value, and now it's a full-on retreat from the Highland Ravens, looking to group up, regroup. Stygian Beacon here being looked at by the Ravens, charged up to about half. Ducky, no ultimate, only ultimate online for the Eldritch Hounds comes in the form of Oath Dragon. May not be able to use it here, though. Sashing in aggressively, Scream, taking Ducky up in the air. So tanky is Ducky, though. Can the Highland Ravens confirm this solo lane kill?
Nope.
Answer is no. Oath in the backline, though. HOUNDS so tanky, and these are two compositions that really need some shred online. Barracuda falling low. Barracuda falling to the grave, courtesy of Oath in that water illusion.
That's Oath coming in massive for his team. Did not get active in that fight. Sat in the jungle and waited for his moment. Finds it onto Barracuda. Both relics available. Just did not think he had to Aegis that water illusion. And because of it, falls down. And the Eldritch Hound's able to grab that Pyromancer. Beautiful scrap. Started with Ducky going to the backline. You were talking about who should be getting aggressive. I certainly thought it was going to be the Ravens. But Ducky starts off that fight. Mystic Rush into the backline. Says, hey, Soul, that's my target. I'm going to use all my Pridwin damage, all my Manticore spikes on one character. Gets Barret low, doesn't get too much from it, gets taken up to the sky by Scream. Doesn't fall though. This is the benefit of building the way that Raven has. Ducky is not unkillable, but it's still very hard, even with so many eyes on you.
Got a Fury online here. It's the Oni. Ducky rotates in via that teleport. Barracuda also in the vicinity as well. Both of these squads looking to take fights around objectives around this Oni Fury. Pyromancer's going to be down. Got a little bit before the next beacon spawns up. Fire Giant just a glint in the eye at this point. But Haddock's more than happy to farm on this right-hand side. And that last fight, what really stood out to me here, Trelly, Ducky and Haddock's were eating abilities and just not going down. Like, absolutely not. Is that a penetration issue? Is that just a characteristic of today's meta and what these solo laners bring? Walk me through it.
It does seem like a bit of not only the meta shifts, but also not too much damage was focused. Up until Ducky goes up into the air, he did land on a supernova, right? Barracuda had some decent damage. But the unfortunate part about Kuzubo is the sumo slam. That is a very hard CC to try and navigate. Hurrywin pushes into the wall, trying to make sure there was no overhead kick, and that means the majority of the solo did not hit.
Oni Fury getting shredded down here by the Highland Ravens. It's Coast and Benny and Ducky here to play defender for the Oni Fury. It's enough to, for the moment at least, push the Highland Ravens off this objective. You got to get Haddox over to this left-hand side if you want to take a 5v5.
Yeah, he doesn't have the teleport, so he has to go over the old-fashioned way. Hammer will get him close, and then he still has Anvil of Dawn. But the other towns don't want to gamble on that objective pull, so they will just retreat. All the while, the Highland Ravens, they've got some decent ward coverage, but it's mostly the Hounds that have vision on this side of the map. That's why they know they can step forward and at the very least grab this Tier 1 tower. Hurrywin's nearby, but do you really want to go that way? I don't think so. He's going to go the safe way behind, and Ven might be the first one to see him.
Venenu also able to get in the wall if necessary. Ducking, leading the charge for the Eldritch Hounds. Hurrywin peeking around the corner here, trying to see if all 5 members of the Hounds are available. Oath just kind of hanging in the back line there. Has a fantastic angle here on the Highland Ravens. Coast drops down low, but not all the way. Haddox locked down for the moment. Scream taking the ADC up in the air and finishing him off. Barracuda in the back line. A Disapparate to escape damage. Scream with a fantastic Aegis to stay alive for just one more moment. It's not enough. Ducky takes down the jungler.
Yep, and now it looks like the chase is coming through for the Hounds. They want to step forward. All the while, Haddox gets silenced out. No hammer for you. Oath gets another one.
And it's a full-on backpedal here from the Highland Ravens. Low mana for Hurrywin, low mana for Venenu. They have to watch on here as the Eldritch Hounds shove minions under this Tier 2 tower. Got Benny Q throwing some of those singers, throwing some of those bees. It's not going to be enough to take this Tier 2, but pressure applied here by the Hounds.
Yep, they won't be able to grab it, but surely they go back for that Oni Fear. That's still the objective that started all of this aggression, and no one else is going to step forward, so that's where the Hounds head. I don't think Haddox is going to teleport in time. That's 18 seconds away. So the Eldritch Hounds, after what seemed like a great fight, I mean, Hurrywin goes to the backline, makes Coast's life absolutely miserable. Haddox hits a good wall. Scream is able to use that Windfire Wheels to confirm that kill, but it was the retreat after. And you've brought to my attention just how tanky Ducky is. He hasn't bought a full item in such a long time. He's got plenty of gold in his pocket. But look at this from the Ravens. Look how slow the Eldritch Hounds are to go back. They have no idea.
Beautiful. And the Ravens have the shred for this objective at 23 minutes. This Fire Giant is going to go the way of the Highland Ravens. They lose the Fury, but who cares? You get the Fire Giant wrapped around the waist unless Quig can somehow pull a miracle steal off. Ain't going to happen, though. The Eldritch Hounds have to watch on as the Fire Giant goes down to the Ravens.
Yep, this did seem like the reason that the Highland Ravens picked a composition like this. They can absolutely destroy objectives if given the opportunity. And unfortunately, the Hounds did not pull Oni Fury back. They pulled Oni, maybe I'll do green buff, chest camps up. Hey, purple spawned in. All the while, Oath? Why are you stepping up so far?
Oath and Venenu are going to be the target. Haddox slamming down from the Anvil of Dawn. Venenu with the finishing touches there. Ducky now caught between the entirety of the Highland Ravens, but goes in aggressively on Soul Barracuda. Gets knocked up here by the Kuzubo. Meanwhile, Haddox and Venenu in the backline causing so much havoc. Vaporish Coast takes out the mid laner. Haddox turns it around on Ducky. Benny Q stuck, immobile, only has to watch on as the rest of his team dies. It is a 3-for-1 Venenu streaming worth.
Yep, but look at this. Double ADC, and they're stepping forward. Look at these low health bars. Benny Q, he wants to fight, and he wants to go in for the Pyro. He will be able to confirm that one. So Runic Bomb goes into the pocket of Vaporish Coast. Remember, this is the Highland Ravens that have the Fire Giant here. They do get aggressive. They do handedly win that fight, but the Hounds still step forward. low health bars mean that they're able to grab the Pyromancer at the very least.
And after this swinging Fury fight into the Fury, into the Fire Giant Pyromancer business, the Eldritch Hounds are going to come out on top with about a 200 gold lead, which is insignificant, but where they were before this all started, it's a nice little comeback, a nice little nest egg for the Eldritch Hounds.
Yep, but the Ravens still have FG on 4, and they still have 2 minutes and 20 seconds to play with. Scream stepping forward. He knows that Venenu has both relics, so even finding an ultimate here would not guarantee much. All the while, Oath and HOUNDS are lurking in the jungle. They both want this fight.
Oh, Barracuda with no disapparate. That ability is going to be down at the mercy of Oath, who has to back off. Great peel there from the Highland Ravens to protect Barracuda. Scream also falling low and falling down to Venenu. Barracuda, the target of Ducky, who is chasing down the ADC. Some
Beautiful
peel in the form of HOUNDS,
wow.
who uses the Thor ultimate just for the CC to keep Barra alive.
That is some beautiful peel there from the solo laner. HOUNDS says, get away from my soul. And it looks like Oath is still trying to get aggressive. The Eldritch Hounds are not happy with the trade. They want to siege forward. Remember, they have double ADC. This tower is going to melt like butter.
The Eldritch Hounds not giving up the ghost here. It's Venenu, Barracuda, and HOUNDS to defend this objective. Ain't gonna happen, though, boys. The Highland Ravens, no aggression, as they just have to watch on. Their tower goes down. The Eldritch Hounds now with a couple thousand gold lead. Call it about 1,200. 25 minutes. Titans unleashed, marching down the right-hand lane.
Finally, that tier 2 tower falls down. Oath was upset about that one, remember. It was very low, but no one was able to finish it off, and wants to grab that extra bit of gold in pocket and just make sure that this power play that the Highland Ravens has doesn't end up as in their favor as it seems. Titans are still marching down. That all happened all while the tier 2 was being sieged. They're going to meet in mid lane over on right, middle of the lane over on right lane. And because of that, you expect a full-on grouping, but so far, HOUNDS and Scream a little late to the party. They're going to get there a little bit delayed. So the Eldritch Hounds should be able to get some decent damage. They're just not stepping up.
Well, same thing can be said for Ducky and Oath, the opponent's solo in jungle on the Eldritch Hounds here. Now the Highland Ravens are finally grouped up as 5, pretty close to it at least. The two Titans are brawling here on the right side of the lane. Quig and Ducky, keep your eyes on this Raven, who has been diving the back line time after time after time. And Hurrywin, who's been blinking forward and disrupting the likes of Benny and Coast.
It really does seem like there's no strategy to Ducky's plan. It's just, I'm going to use everything on Barracuda. And don't get me wrong, it is a good plan.
Yeah.
Barras does a lot of damage, but he's not... There's nothing skillful. I am just going to drop everything on Barra. And because of that, whenever Barra sees this Raven, he's going to back up.
Double tap off the mark there from HOUNDS. Oath around the corner. Dharmic Pillars cutting through the Highland Ravens. And Ducky diving Barracuda,
no one can help him,
who uses everything to survive the dive. Ain't going to happen. Scream falling low as well. Hurrywin, at the very least, finds one in return on the enemy ADC. But plenty of auto attack damage here from Ducky, from Benny Q, and Amuz and Cobb. Venenu trying to put Oath in the ground. Has to watch on here. The right-hand Phoenix is going to fall down slowly but surely as the Titan wails away at the bird.
Yep, Titan helps out. Oath is going to be able to go on back to base. And again, Barracuda had relics there. It is not that he misplayed. It was a AoE Sunder from Quig into the Dharmic Pillars, into the Pridwin proc. All hit about 3 to 4 members of the Ravens.
Chunked them.
And then the rest of the Ravens just look and say, sorry, bro, good luck. Like, we got to get out of here. We saw what he did to you. There is nothing we can do. If HOUNDS had an Anvil of Dawn on a Ducky last time, Barra would have died. This time, there was no help. There is not enough peel in the world to keep this soul away from Raven. And Ducky, he's got red. He just sees red. That's all it is. Whenever he sees soul, he's like, I'm clicking everything.
The Eldritch Hounds now firmly in control of this game number 2. The Highland Ravens certainly on the back foot here in this elimination match. Despite being down in kills, up in gold, up in objective control, cracking the base of the Highland Ravens. The Pyromancer goes the way of the Hounds. You've got a Fury on the map as well, and Fire Giant back in the field of play.
Certainly is. Primal Fury is also available with that right side bird dropped. So the Highland Ravens are going to have to send someone over to deal with those waves of minions. And it seems like the Eldritch Hounds are going to group in mid for the time being. They have 2 runic bombs, so Phoenixes will be relatively easy to grab if they don't get destroyed. All the while, though, you have to look towards these assassins. I mean, Ven's sitting 6-1. He's got plenty of damage online. HOUNDS, 5-1. Has been very explosive in the backline. Very similar. Don't get me wrong. Whatever Ducky is doing to Barra is also being done by HOUNDS to Coast.
Right.
They are the targets. These ADCs, unfortunately, are getting the brunt of this DPS. But we just get the front row seat to Raven just kit dumping onto Barra. So I just know that, number one, this Soul has been doing a lot of damage if he goes uncontested, and number two, these Soul laners are not letting the carries go uncontested.
Primal Fury started up here by Oath, joined by Coast with that crazy auto attack damage here. 6 slotted at 29 minutes is the Eldritch Hounds ADC. Primal Fury to fall here from the combined might of the jungler and the ADC. One less neutral objective on the map, which means one less opportunity for the Highland Ravens to find their way back into game number 2 here.
Gonna group up. EFG spawns in now. The Eldritch Hounds didn't want to go for a pull before Risen Hands because why not? At this point, just stall it out. The Ravens don't want to push up. They're losing that minions into the right side of the map anyways. Their Phoenix is down, so they are going to stand by and just watch. They still do have plenty of steal potential, don't get me wrong. With Barracuda around, with Ven hiding in the walls, and Haddix going to the sky, it's not easy just to go in for a pull. Someone's going to have to keep tabs on Oath. The Eldritch Hounds have been doing this strategy where Ducky goes to the back line and Oath goes in the jungle and hides. Tries to find a way to get to the carries. And there is plenty of burst damage on the side of both of these squads. I'm keeping my eyes on these solo laners, though. They do seem to be making the most impact.
And eyes on BennyQ as well. A pleasant slash line in 2-1 and 8, but topping the damage charts by a nice margin for the Eldritch Hounds. Almost 30k damage for the Almuz and Cobb, making it look pretty good here in the middle lane. But look at this. It's a split in the middle lane. Oath and Vaporish Coast eliminating the Firebird in the mid lane. 2 birds down now for the Highland Ravens, who see their opportunity to engage the Dark Pillars and dropped Haddix, deleted off the map, swallowed down by Oath. Scream does take out Quig, and Coast also falling to the Highland Ravens. It is a 2-4-2. It's going to keep on rolling here as Ducky finds one. Barracuda takes out the enemy ADC in BennyQ. Mid lane playing ADC, I should say. Venenu, between 2 members of the Eldritch Hounds, has the power to turn it around, unable to do so.
Yeah, but there's 2 birds down. Remember, if the Highland Ravens want to try and chase this, they're going to lose the right side. Phoenix and Ducky, he still wants to try and fight this. Oath doesn't have the damage.
One more shot.
He can't finish the kill.
Auto attacks from Barra don't connect with Oath, who's lifted with a sliver of HP. Same thing goes for Ducky. Same thing goes for Venenu. It is only 2 members each for each of these squads remaining on the map. And Trelly, Fire Phoenix spawns here in the right lane. Barracuda able to defend it. Mid lane, Phoenix down. What do the Ravens do? Question mark? Not enough damage? Okay, he's got it. Bear's got it. Everything's
that was so close. Bear just exhaled. I saw his face. He's like, guys, I threw Stellar Burst already, and the archers didn't die. Luckily, though, he did have enough AoE to make sure that Phoenix did survive. It's on 1 HP, of course, but that's enough to make sure that if you do get your mid bird back up, your Titan will still regen. At this point, no one's making advances towards the Titan. It's just trying to get those fire minions to stop spawning on the right side of the map. Remember, this all started from what we assumed would be an EFG fight. No, it was, let's just push in for mid Phoenix. We've got runic bombs, and then we can figure out what happens after. Quig for Haddix, traded out. This is the unfortunate truth to starting no beads. Oath is going to be looking for you every time. I mean, if Haddix goes to the back line and Quig finds a silence, that's an easy target to try and execute because he can't hammer away.
We're at 32 minutes here, Trelly. Level 20 across the board. Pyromancer falls. Items getting capped off here. Builds finalized. The Highland Ravens able to fight these Eldritch Hounds mano-a-mano. Take them on 5v5. And if not come out on top, at least stalemate the Eldritch Hounds pushing forward any further.
Yep, and I have to draw, the conclusion that I think a lot of the Hounds have, and it's that Supernova, Barracuda's ultimate, has been chunking. If you get close to him and he's able to actually cast that ability, and it lands on someone who isn't Ducky, it is doing an absolute ton of damage, especially with that Calamitous Rod of Tahuti proc. It's been making lots of value, but look at the Hounds. I mean, they are just charging to the backline. This is not a sneak diss at all. Hurrywind's getting shredded.
And Hurrywind is getting gone. Hurrywind dies to the likes of BennyQ. Scream is on full retreat. Barracuda hits the panic button as well. Ducky just running at the Highland Ravens ADC, playing the backline dive that the solo is so opt to do. Supernova down. Scream falls to Vaporish Coast. Trelly, 5 members of the Eldritch Hounds stepping forward into the base of the Highland Ravens. It's Venenu, Barracuda, and Haddix. A miracle defense here to stay alive at Smite Masters. The Eldritch Hounds with 2 Phoenixes down, dishing out the damage, laying it into the Titan. Haddix up in the air. Who's going to be the target? A 3-man smashdown from Haddix. Is it going to be enough to dissuade the Eldritch Hounds from taking out the Highland Ravens? A deicide, and the Eldritch Hounds best the Highland Ravens 2-0 as we round out Smite Masters.
I do not envy the position of the carries of the Ravens. So many times we got to see Ducky's point of view, and so many times I saw him not even lose his shield. It was just full HP, Pridwin, Glad Shield, disgusting damage, even the Sunder procs. And it wasn't a sneaky play. Again, that was not a let's wrap around, they won't see us. They were pushing waves times. It seemed like the Highland Ravens knew what was happening. They tried to group up for it. They realized they were too close. And